Hi everyone, it's time for the weekly video and I've made it in plenty of time this week because it's a bank holiday weekend. I've been to the cinema a couple of times, managed to catch up on a couple of things that I wanted to. It's a really good feeling. You know, there are times when you feel week by week that you're just getting by, when you're fitting things in that you want to do for yourself, but you're busy with work. You might have family commitments, obviously, you might have other things you want to do, and it's rare to feel like you're doing something that is in your mind less of a duty or a commitment and just relaxing and nice. And in my mind, a lot of my duty and commitment feeling aims towards the podcast, the blog, certain ways I watch movies. I think I've mentioned it before, but Mubi adds a title every day that's on there for 30 days, and the completest of me wants to see every movie that goes on there. So, you know, at least half a dozen movies I watch every week are on the Mubi site because I'm trying to keep up with what they deliver. Lots of podcasts, lots more podcasts than I ever listened to before, and I keep forgetting to mention on the show. I really appreciate there's Jose and Justin who do the Watch Skip Plus podcast. They have a non-spoiler section about a new release they are covering, and then a spoiler section. So I tend to only catch up on episodes now when I've seen the film because I want to hear the whole lot in one go. I can't pause it somewhere and go back to it because I listen to, 100 different podcasts. So I do that. So I was a little bit behind the times and caught up on a couple of their episodes from the past couple of months. And it's always nice to hear a shout out from Jose. He refers to us as their podcast friends from over the pond. So that's very nice. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't know if they'll ever watch this video. I might try and tag them in it. Yeah, it is nice to feel involved with other podcasters in a way that is just from friendship and conversations, instead of, you sometimes hear these mentions from people and it's almost by rote. It's a standard list to always go by, or it maybe feels like a little bit of a clique because it might always be the same people. So we are hardly ever in that clique, and it's happened a couple of times lately with different podcasts. Also, Troy and Brad on the Not a Bum podcast have given us a mention now again. That's always very nice. Thank you. I got to the cinema twice, as I said, this weekend. I saw Evil Dead Rise, which I'll look forward to discussing more on the podcast. But I thought it was really good. I don't see... everyone's opinions vary, but I don't understand how people can come out of this feeling so negatively towards it. Lee Cronin as the director is, I was hopeful because I liked the trailers, but I wasn't a big fan of The Hole in the Ground. It was okay. I didn't see, something that others saw there. I actually preferred Lee Cronin's work in the short film Ghost Train that was also in some anthology horror movie. It was added there, so I recommend that. But A Hole in the Ground, it was nicely shot. It was okay. I didn't see that and think that guy needs to do a next Evil Dead movie. Thankfully, nobody listens to me because he did a really good job. The cast are all great. The setup, I think, is fantastic. There may be a few references that feel shoehorned in there for fans of the series, but I think in general they work. It's kind of walking a fine line between this is something a little bit new for the the format, if you like, but it's also what it's not the departure that Army of Darkness was, and it's certainly not leaning into the comedy of that or the comedy of Ash versus Evil Dead, but it's not entirely humor free. It is quite a grim film though, and it's full on blood, gore, and viscera that you want. It's really good. yeah, like a highlight of my recent horror movie viewings, I would say. As well as From Black, which is on Shudder now. And if you liked A Dark Song, it's very much a companion piece to that. I liked A Dark Song. I didn't love it as much as many other people did. I preferred From Black. Again, I don't expect many people to agree with me, but I highly recommend it. I think it's great. There's a fantastic central performance from Anna Camp, is the name I want to say. Really, one of the best films I've seen pop up on Shudder recently. I know everyone's been busy watching the In Search of Darkness documentaries. I'll get to eventually part 3. I was unimpressed by part 2. I was less impressed by part 1, which made the unforgivable error of discussing Ennio Morricone's score to The Thing and then bringing up an image crediting it to John Carpenter. The score itself, not the film, obviously. Is that it? What was the other? Oh, Missing. I went to see Missing at the cinema, a Screen Life movie. Again, Evil Dead Rise and Missing were covered by Watch It Plus, and that is how I could go back and then listen to those episodes. And, you know, I quite enjoyed Missing. I think I liked Searching more. I feel that Missing, although it kind of tries to play with you and looks like it's moving away from the screen shot format, but then shows you other ways in which you're seeing the screen. I just think the gimmick is a bit difficult to play with again for a full feature. You know, it's are they called Screen Life movies? So you're watching someone's MacBook, or you're seeing, you know, you're seeing their phone screen on there, the contacts, emails, etc., etc. I really quite enjoyed the third act twists and turns, which I guessed one or two things coming up. There was something that surprised me a bit, which, listening to Jose and Justin, probably shouldn't have surprised me at all. Yeah, but you know, it's good. I preferred Searching. I've not seen Searching since it was in the cinema, so you know, I'm not sure how well Searching holds up, because it was quite novel at the time. But yeah, I mean, I recommend Missing if you enjoyed that. I just don't think it's quite as good. Oh, and there's one bit of information that the young lead is trying to find, to get hold of, to access some account, and if you're anything like me, you'll just be shouting at the screen until she gets to the obvious. So that was the biggest downfall of it. That's it. On to post. I won't be mentioning the movies that we're covering on the podcast this week because I've already forgotten Dave's choice again, so I'll be checking in with him about that. So listen to the podcast and you'll remember them ahead of me. But post-wise, Lover's Lane arrived from Arrow Video. I ordered this, I think I pre-ordered this through Amazon, and it's a slasher movie. I believe 1989. I did look it up before it arrived. Anyway, it's a slasher movie I haven't seen. Sometimes that feels like I'm surprising myself. Sometimes I realise how many slasher movies are out there, and I'm probably lucky if I've seen about, you know, a quarter of them sometimes. But this looks like a good one, and hey, there's a hook-handed killer chasing people down that. I am going to try and make time for that today. So hopefully I will be able to report back next week and let you know if I enjoyed it. Or if you read my blog, For Is Man's Number, at blogger or blogspot.com. Why do I never remember the address of my own blog? A review should appear there this week. Obviously, that's after Evil Dead Rise review and the Missing review. So I'll be there. And then Indicator have impressed people again by moving into the world of Jean Rollin, The Shiver of the Vampires and Two Orphan Vampires. Now, and these are labelled 402 and 417. I can't recall if there will be any after 417, but I believe these numbers in between have been saved for Jean Rollin movies. I think I've already pre-ordered on a couple. So that is good news for fans of his work. I can't recall if I've seen Two Orphan Vampires. I'm looking forward to it. I like the atmospheric, beautiful imagery that Rollin provides. I have seen The Shiver of the Vampires, and I can't remember it. I picked up a number of Rollin movies when I believe they were being sold through the Dark Side magazine, possibly still on the Redemption label, but I think the Dark Side magazine had their own sub-label for a while. They had The Shiver of the Vampire, Lips of Blood, Rape of the Vampire. I think maybe Fascination was in there. I seem to recall they had about half a dozen, and that is where I first really started to discover his work and look into his films with any degree of knowledge. Once I started that dive in there, and I may have just made some errors in remembering those titles. Forgive me if I have. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But anyway, they are, I've got to say, they're a mixed bag. Certainly some of them feel much more almost like a film student getting their project off the ground in one or two titles. And that may be his earliest films that I saw on DVD, because I have no idea of the chronology or the sequencing of them. But most, if not all, have quite impressive haunting imagery. They you know, they are really brilliant with the blend of this sort of languid erotic charge throughout. They are the movie equivalent of waking up in the morning with a slight nick on your neck and a fuzzy feeling in your loins and only a half memory of what happened the night before. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that description. And there's a lot packed into those Blu-rays. They were also released, I think, on 4K. I'm not ready to make the leap to 4K. I still like my 3D Blu-ray player, my surround sound. You know, DVD to Blu-ray was the big leap for me after replacing my VHS collection. I don't, you know, 4K may be brilliant and the final word on home entertainment presentations. I don't think it will be, and so for the time being I'm happy to stick with Blu-rays, or you know, sometimes buy a 4K package if the Blu-ray is included. Anyway, I look forward to those. I think I will make time for them in the cinema room, and I don't know if that will be today, this week, this year, whenever. I may even try and pick some for the podcast, but today it's Lover's Lane. I hope you all enjoy the weekend. If you're in the UK, enjoy the bank holiday weekend if you don't have to go into work. Enjoy the podcast when it pops up. I hope you'll listen to last week's episode where we discussed Scum, and I had a slightly angry rant at Tyler because of my feelings on Bliss. Yeah, tune in for us next week, and I'll see you in video form next week. Bye.